All right, guys, Het's here. Read the NYTimes.com this morning. First thing that jumps out is an infographic, how people can win their nominations. Donald Trump shows two paths to victory for Donald Trump to win the presidential nomination for the Republican Party. Ted Cruz shows a path for him. Marco Stinkin' Rubio. This kid has won one contest, and he's a joke. He's a joke. And they have a path for him. Hillary Clinton. Of course they show a path for Hillary Clinton. Who did they leave out? Conveniently, Bernie Sanders. Let me ask you a question. Did CNN report that Bernie Sanders had a big night last night? No. Did MSNBC report it? No. Washington Post? Anybody? Did anybody report that Bernie had a big night last night? No. Fact of the matter is, he did have a big night last night, and the reason is because superdelegates do not matter. Superdelegates were put in place in 1980 when the party was establishing a new primary system. Since 1980, those superdelegates, which were designed to be able to sway the electorate in the direction that the party chiefs wanted it to go, has always gone the way of the delegates. That is to say, they always swing the way the delegate count goes. They have never been used to push someone over the top. So don't worry about the superdelegates. They don't matter. No matter how many times you see a report that shows Hillary way ahead because of superdelegates, it's just not true. Now, how many delegates does she actually have? 544 compared to Sanders has 349. You know what that is? It's 13% to 9%. This thing ain't over. 13% Hillary Clinton, 9% of the delegates needed to win Bernie Sanders. Can Bernie narrow the gap? That's the big question. Next big contest is Michigan. It happens after the Democratic debate on CNN Sunday night in Flint, Michigan. That debate is going to be a big deal. If Bernie can make some real motion there, if he can make some real good arguments against Hillary, which I believe he can, maybe he can win Michigan. Guess what? He's going to be pouring a lot of money into Michigan. More on that later. Right now, the RealClearPolitics average has her up by 19.2 points. Can he narrow that gap in just a week? I don't know. We'll see. What comes up after that? March 15th. Ohio. Hillary was up 48. Now she's up 15. He's been narrowing the gap. Florida, Hillary was up 36. Now she's up 26. He's been narrowing the gap. Obviously, Florida might be harder for her to win, for him to win. But again, he doesn't have to win all of these. Illinois, another delegate-rich state. Hillary was up 37 points. Now she's up 19 points. And that said, there are not really a lot of polls coming out of Illinois, according to RealClearPolitics. So it's hard to know how accurate that is. It might be more in Bernie's favor. It might be more in Hillary's favor. North Carolina is on March 15th. Hillary was ahead 25, now she's ahead 10. There are a lot of polls there, very clear trend, very clearly trending towards Bernie. Missouri, there have been no polls in the last 9 months. They also vote on the 15th. Now, here's the question that really is interesting to me. So I live in LA, I live in California, right? What do I see on MSNBC every time I watch that piece of trash network? Bernie Sanders ads. Why the hell is he running ads in California in February, in March, when we don't vote until June? Seems ridiculous. Seems like a waste of money, except for the fact that he is slow playing her. She's eating into his hand, because one thing Bernie knows, one thing the Sanders campaign knows, is the more people hear the message, the more people get behind Bernie. The more people donate, the more money he has, the more he can narrow the gap. This is all about narrowing the gap. So the Sanders campaign is betting that between now and June, they can turn California. Guess what Hillary's advantage is in California right now? 11 points. 11 points. This is a very liberal state. Trust me, I can tell you, Bernie is capable of winning California. Second highest or highest delegate count in the country. It's up there with Texas. What's another big delegate state? New York City. What did Bernie demand when they changed when they added additional debates? He demanded a debate in New York. That's because he wants to challenge Hillary on her home turf. And what's the trend there? Has he been narrowing the gap there? He sure has. He's narrowed the gap from a 40-point advantage for Hillary to a 21-point advantage to Hillary. Now, everyone keeps saying she's got all this super PAC money. She's got the institution behind her. How can he possibly narrow the gap? I've already told you that he narrows the gap as time goes on, as more people hear his message, more people come on board, more people give him money. You want to know how much money he made in month of February? $43 million. That's all from individual donors. That's all from small donations. $43 million. It's a record-setting February haul. The Clinton campaign has not yet released their dollars for February, but they raised $15 million in January. Does anybody really think that Hillary Clinton doubled or tripled the amount of money that she brought in February? Is there anything about her campaign, any excitement, any energy to suggest that? I don't think so. So that gets back to the question of Michigan. What's going on in Michigan right now? I guarantee you they are pouring the money into the Michigan ads. They're doing Michigan ad buys. They're making the Michigan electorate aware of Bernie Sanders, aware of who he is. And the thing I want you to be aware of is this race ain't over yet. Bernie Sanders can still win this thing. We can still take this country back. We can still break up the banks. We can still have true racial and social justice from someone who's been on that fight since he was arrested for it in the 60s. Someone who never called anybody a super predator. We can still take back this country from the 1% who have been concentrating all of the wealth. Guess who's part of that 1%? The Clintons made $125 million in speaking engagements since 2001. $15 million from Wall Street over the last few years alone. You think they really care about the 99%? I mean, maybe throw them some cake, but not until you take care of your rich friends. That's what Hillary Clinton is all about. Sanders campaign, that's not what it's about. It's about you and me. So keep making those small donations, get on board, go to the website. You can find a spot to start making phone calls. Start making phone calls to Michigan today. That's what I'm going to be doing. That's what I want all of you guys to be doing. We can still win this thing. Bernie Sanders for president 2016. Oh yeah, one other thing. Western Illinois University, which has correctly predicted the presidential winner for 100 years. You know who they predicted? Bernie Sanders as the next president of the United States. Oh, one other thing. Look at the CNN ORC poll that came out yesterday. Don't tell me Hillary's the more electable one, because Bernie's numbers against all of the Republican candidates are way, way higher. And the mainstream press wants to tell you, oh, he hasn't been vetted yet. We don't know yet. We don't know if he could stand up to the scrutiny of a national test. Hasn't been vetted. He's been in electoral politics for over 3 decades. People have dug up every ounce of dirt they could possibly find on the guy. There isn't any dirt. When you start digging things up, what do you find? You find speeches like the speech he gave on the floor of the Congress against the Iraq War, in which he predicted exactly what would happen in Iraq. That's because he's got the judgment to lead this nation, both in foreign affairs and domestic politics. That's what it's all about. Guys, support Sanders. Do what you need to do. Get out there. Do the work. We can make this happen. Heads out.